Yeah, all good. Good morning. Just going for a nice walk this morning, and it's nice and fresh. A bit cooler than it has been, so it's really nice to go for a walk really early and beat the heat. And this morning it's a bit cooler. I did a talk yesterday on preparing mentally for penalties in the context of taking a penalty. And I've been since asked the question, what about from a goalkeeper perspective? And yeah, look, I've been pretty fortunate over the years to work with some individual keepers and teams, and some really excellent sort of keepers individually and in team environments. And I'm going to speak from my perspective as a performance coach. Just my perspective, anecdotally, so I'm not making suggestions, giving advice, and sort of sharing some ideas. So preparing mentally for a goalkeeper in a penalty shootout. A penalty shootout for a goalkeeper is not just guessing the right way. It's not, I don't think, in my opinion, it's about guessing the right way. There's also managing pressure, reading cues, staying composed, creating doubt in the penalty taker's mind. From my experience in football, using things like NLP and therapy to help the keeper prepare the mental state, it begins before the shootout starts for me. I think it's important to have a routine that helps you feel calm as a keeper, that helps you feel sharp and ready, and not overwhelmed by the moment. Because in the shootout, the pressure's both ways. The penalty taker has to score, and the long walk from the halfway line is a long walk, obviously. They have time to think, and they start to think. They may start doubting the decision or technique, or a lot of things might go through their head. As a goalkeeper, your job is to stay present and make them feel that pressure, not by being reckless, but by being composed, confident, and difficult to read. The penalty taker may have studied you as well. There's a very good chance that they'll have analysts that will studied you as a keeper, but you may have also studied them. And if you haven't studied them, I'm recommending, studying the penalty takers of the opposition. If you haven't already done so, do they open their body? Do they look early? Do they wait for the keeper to move? Do they usually go for power or placement? And these are things that are better placed speaking to an analyst and specific goalkeeper coach. Have that sort of convo together because it can be quite useful. Now, the mental side matters, and because one save can change the whole context of the shootout. You save the first one, you put the pressure on the other team. So it's a big deal. And I sort of talked about yesterday how I'm going to share So I talked about yesterday how I took some ideas from. I wrote this back in 2011. It feels like a long time ago now, but time goes really quick. So share some ideas. Some of the ideas obviously are still relevant now, but I'll share some of the key components. So before a match, it's important to mentally rehearse. So make sure before the game, as a keeper, you see yourself, for example, standing on the line, hear the crowd, feel the pressure, watch the taker walking up, breathe, stand tall, read the body shape, commit fully, and sort of explode into the save. So you can sort of rehearse all that mentally, physically type thing. You can walk through it and adjust it as well and mentally visualize it, like you can see yourself on the screen and step in the screen and then go through it sort of physically too. That can be quite useful. And I think it's important to use imagery in real time. If the penalty moment takes, say, 5 seconds, for example, then rehearse it in the same time frame unless you're looking to embed a learning. Also, what's quite useful, and I sort of talk about this in the book as well, using an anchor, and have a lot of good feedback, setting an anchor, cue, and that could be, thinking of it felt really powerful, for example, really resourceful, really alert, really confident. maybe you've made a great save. Reflect on when you've made a good penalty save, or save in general, a strong performance, a moment when you dominated your box, and relive that fully. And relive it, what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. And then you want to create a cue. That could be the glove, fasten the glove. It could be like a ring. It's a bit Pavlovian in the sense that, you press for 3 to 5 seconds and connect the emotion to the physical action, like a cue. Okay, so it could be touching the gloves together. It could be bouncing on your toes. It could be, even tapping the goalpost, saying a word internally. It could be all of those, and no doubt you probably see keepers do that anyway. You may do it anyway yourself without realizing what you're doing. But, the things you say mentally, I say set, sharp, ready, commit. Repeat the cue in training so your mind links with confidence and focus. So sort of getting in that sort of state at that moment. Getting in the right state at the right moment. As the taker walks up, control what you can control. Control your breathing, your body language, your focus, your decision. And I think, from my perspective, it's important not to dive with any doubt, sort of hesitation type thing. Sort of read, decide, commit. If you've gone through the penalties, the way the opposition take the penalties with the analyst type thing, the variables, the various things that they might do. Are they going to place it? Are they going to smash it? Are they going to, whatever really, in state, you kind of might rely on that to a certain degree. Because in penalty shootout, the goalkeeper, you don't have to save obviously every penalty. One can make a huge difference. And you need to stay mentally ready for one moment that can change the whole trajectory of the shootout. But that's my take on it. You might see it differently. Just from my perspective, it's just sort of sharing my thoughts.